basically, you could even put that in 5 words: to build a new Malawi. And to build a new Malawi, we will need to do 2 very important things. In a way, answer 2 questions that will explain how that could come about. First of all, what really do Malawians want? And then, how do we deliver that which Malawians want? So, in a nutshell, what I have been doing is to go across this country, meet with people, hold youth conferences, hold women conferences, and meet various stakeholders. What is it that you want? What is it that we as a nation want? And I have come to crystallize this need for a new Malawi in 5 thematic areas. People need good leadership, and good leadership that is servant leadership. People need unity. This country has been paralyzed. Tribalism has reared its ugly head. People are divided according to regions and sometimes religions. And so they say, we want to be one Malawi, under one flag, with one vision, so we are able to know which direction we're taking as a nation. And people want to prosper together. They're tired of abject poverty. Going across the land, you almost weep when you see the contrast. A nation that is so resourceful in terms of having resources. Maybe I should change that. A nation that has so many resources, and yet lacking how to manage those resources to make sure people prosper together. What has happened is a clique is prospering while the majority are in abject poverty. We need to work so that everyone feels this is Malawi that is working for me. And I have noticed that people are angry because what is failing our prospering together is fraud, theft, corruption, which is enriching a few and serving a few and making everybody else go hungry, get poorer, get less educated, in a sense. And so people say we must end corruption. But there's a whole lot of lawlessness taking place as well. And people do not want a country where those in power can be shielded from answering to the law. And those with money can be shielded. Those with influence can be shielded. They want a law that is respected by everyone, regardless of their station in life. And I have noticed that these are basically the things that will make a new Malawi, and we can do it together. But the second aspect of it is that we must develop a new work ethic. So on one hand, you have a philosophical base of a development state which would not be delivered if there is no work ethic. Nobody is going to deliver that new Malawi for us. It's not going to come from the West. It's not going to come from the East. It's not going to come from the North. It's not going to come from the South. It will have to be a new Malawi built by Malawians for Malawians. America will not do it for us. Europe will not do it for us. China will not do it for us. Brazil or India or whatever nation will not do it for us. Let other nations come to help us when we seek help, but they are not the ones responsible. We need to develop a work ethic that says we do not live on handouts, wherever those handouts come from. We are working this thing so we can feel the pride of nation building. That is our responsibility. Some of the things that I have elucidated in terms of the vision I have and how I want to see that vision fulfilled actually reflect these problems that we've had. And I could mention particularly this issue about leadership, because many have said it all, falls or stands on leadership. And poor leadership will result in many, many other things. We really need to have leadership that serves people, leadership that looks at the needs of people and says, we want to do something about this. For many, many years, we have had leaders that have promised people, we will do this for you. So, in a way, if you premise your leadership on what you can hand out to the people, instead of giving them a hand up to empower them so they are able to live by themselves, you end up with a whole generation of those who feel that they are entitled to something without even working for it. And that has paralyzed the development trajectory of this nation to the end that for years, particularly in the last 25 years, the culture of handouts, who can give free things to more people, who can make more people laugh at their rallies, who can clap the loudest, who can, make Malawians think that, oh, this is the kind of person we want, without looking at how they can deliver the things they say. So hopes have been dashed year after year because of poor leadership. People not coming through with the things that they said they would do, because you need leadership, not just leadership that serves, but leadership that serves with integrity. And if leadership begins to set the example of those that are corrupt, those that steal, those that defraud, then you are setting a bad example that everybody else follows. And in that way, things go down like we have seen them go down in every department of service delivery in this nation. So, again, it's a leadership problem. But, like I said, in these past years, you could also notice that standards of efficiency, effectiveness, and excellence have gone down because we have embraced a work ethic that is less than ideal. Malawi can certainly do better. We can certainly achieve more. We can certainly spread the wealth that we have by creating more wealth, so our young people and our women are served better, even as they serve others. to put it more pragmatically, like you say it, because you need to move from the philosophical base of what it means to really have a developmental state. How practical are the things I'm talking about? In order for us to be able to build new factories, build new hospitals, build new schools, so no child is learning under a tree, to be able to serve people well. When we combine what people give in terms of taxes and how we use those taxes so that we provide those services, build bridges that are not washed away one season but are lasting, you begin to realize that in practical terms, every Malawian must take it as their responsibility. Now, when I'm president, I will ensure that I take that full responsibility to be answerable to the people. So together we are able to create an environment in which people produce rather than consume. And people are given the context in which manufacturing and businesses and schools and training, all of these things are going up. We need a system, for example, of education that is not based on just rote memory, based on answering the questions of life. How do you move from point A to point B in your life? How innovative can you be? What about these days of artificial intelligence? These are issues that worldwide young people are concerned about. And so you move, not just working hard, but you work smart. And you create businesses that can cause young people to thrive. We have such plans. When we unleash our manifesto one of these days, we will have those thematic areas spelled out completely so that we are able to assure young people. I'll give you an example. We would love to build houses with materials we make within the country because we have such capacity. We would love to wear clothes with materials we make within the country. When we treat our patients, we want to be able to produce those medicines in the country. And when we buy medicines from abroad, we are doing it ourselves. When we want to make sure that everyone is in school, it's because we're doing it and everybody wants to play their part. Excellence at every level. Like I have said, it would take all of us building a new Malawi together. And when we do that, in providing servant leadership, in making sure we are united, it should not just be by word only. It should also be demonstrated, indeed. And so, first of all, I want to be a president that is able to come to Parliament, respond to people's questions. And Parliament is made up of members from different political parties, so that their concerns, as people send them to that August House, are responded to by a president that is willing to be answerable to the people. And second of all, I want to make sure that every quarter I invite all leaders of political parties and we discuss issues and see how we can move forward in fulfilling a national development plan that we all own, so that they feel that they are also party to the rebuilding of a new Malawi that we're engaged in. And I also want to make sure that these leaders feel and know that they are part and parcel of this. You know, Malawi is so divided and polarized, and people would want to say, because I am president of a so-called ruling party, then I have everything. No, we have more talent, we have more wisdom, we have more power together rather than divided. And I want to be the first to make sure that that happens. And thirdly, I want to make sure that the office of the leader of opposition is sufficiently empowered so they are also able to even do independent investigation on any abuse or suspected abuse of power by the executive, so that checks and balances are not just left to institutions of governance, even Parliament through the leader of the opposition. They are able to keep the executive in check. I know I'm the best candidate for the presidency of Malawi because all my life I have dedicated my life to serving people, not for what I can get out of people, but to empower them, not to lord it over people, but to be their servant. I believe I'm the best candidate because all my life I have been involved in uniting people, in uniting this nation, in uniting people, even fighting peoples elsewhere. I've been involved in this type of mediation, even in war-torn countries, because that's my heart. And I believe I'm the best candidate because I'm saying we do not want people of a particular party, tribe, or region to be the only ones that prosper when a president comes from that particular subsection. I want all of us to prosper together. Nobody should be left behind. I want the women to be included. I want the young people, particularly who form the majority of this population, to be included. I want those people, even those living with albinism or any other disability, their disability should never be equated with inability to do anything. I want every one of those to be included, and I believe I'm the only one that is able to demonstrate that. And all my life I have lived a life that is free of corruption, is free of theft, free of the kind of life that defrauds others. I believe I'm the best candidate because I abide by the law, and I want everybody to abide by the law. I have been doing this, pushing for this, all the 5 years that I've been leader of opposition, and I've been living this kind of life all my life, and I want to continue to do the same and assure Malawians that because I am the best candidate, we will do away with bad leadership, we'll do away with disunity, we'll do away with poverty, we'll do away with corruption and fraud and theft, and we'll do away with lawlessness that is widespread. You know, in as much as that is a good question, and I appreciate you asking that, the assumption, however, is that people do not trust us. Well, they do. They do. If I can take you back to, for example, the by-elections that were done in October of 2017, MCP won 85% of the races that were going on then. And why was that? It's because people trust us. What has been the perception is that people don't trust MCP. But I'll tell you plainly that they're talking about things that happened when all of those leaders, even those who are alive today, that got involved in some of those things, have moved out of MCP and now form part and parcel of a culture that continues or perpetrates those kind of things in other parties. This MCP is real clean. This MCP wants to deliver. But I also want to remind you that bad governance that may have been there, which I have owned up to, and you will see that it is, when I speak of bad leadership, I do not put myself, as if my party has nothing. But if you take the first 10 years of our development in this country, we built structures, we built institutions, we built Malawi in a way that those who have tried to build something in the last 25 years cannot match the excellence, the standards, and the structures of those early development years of MCP. That is what you should be aiming at, emulating, not the bad governance. But I can assure you, the bad governance was perpetrated by people who are even now holding high positions in other parties, when MCP, throughout its all structure at the moment, is the most clean in this nation. I'm extremely confident. Go back a little bit, and then I'll tell you. There were tally sheets that were being altered, T-Pexed, changed, figures added, figures. There won't be any of that this time around. There won't be anyone trying to mess with the transmission of results so that they can shut down a system or crash it. There won't be any of that this time. There won't even be a chance for people to lodge injunction after injunction after injunction in order for people to say, well, we must do a recount, because it would not be necessary this time. And nobody will have a chance to even burn warehouses because they want to destroy evidence, and they want to make sure that any recount is impossible. It won't happen this time. The administrative reforms that my electoral commission has already begun to implement, which saw us winning seats even from an opposition point of view. These administrative reforms have given us confidence that we will make it. And I'm extremely positive. Nobody will mess with people's votes. Nobody will mess with people's choice. Nobody should even dream of doing the same, because they will fail miserably. People are geared at making sure they monitor this completely. But you see, I didn't fail. It is the president that failed, because a system that allows for you to be president when 3/4 of the people don't hold you as their president is a system that doesn't give you confidence that you've really won. It is democracy, actually, that failed. They will. They will deliver, and I have full confidence. The whole world is watching Malawi. We are watching. We have a whole team of monitors across the country that are watching. Everybody is vigilant. Nobody is going to steal this vote. History has been, and we said, let history be our judge. What I did was to say, I'm not going to contest, give them a chance, let them lead. They have miserably failed. We will not give them that other option this time around. because we've always worked together with others. Throughout the 5 years that I have been leader of the opposition, I have worked with parties in Parliament that were in the opposition. I have worked with parties that were outside Parliament that were in the opposition. We held press conferences together, looked at issues from one vantage point, and it is not a secret that I work with these people and that we're talking. When you learn that things are settled, you would hear those things being announced. How do you assess a president after 5 years and you are not the one, but you're assessing somebody else? He has not been a bad leader, you would say. On democracy, President Mutharika has really been average. On economics, he's been below average. If you look at on development, then he's been poor. When you have 75% of promises you made and you don't deliver, when all you do is lay foundation stones and then there's nothing to show for it, and when roads that you build are substandard, bridges that you build are substandard and they're washed away, even before one whole year passes, that's very poor. But in terms of governance, I would say he's been a disaster. Look at the lawlessness that's going on right now. And the corruption, where even a head of state gets involved in issues of pocketing 145 million. And you look at governance institutions being rendered or being incapacitated and not operating with the full confidence they ought to have, either because they are under threat. We still have people that have not gotten answers. So if the Anti-Corruption Bureau operates under tremendous fear because one of them was mercilessly murdered, that is not auguring well. So governance, no, it's been a disaster. I'm really appealing to Malawians. This is the best chance we have to build a new Malawi together, so that we have servant leadership, we have unity in the country, we have prosperity for everyone, and we are fighting and ending corruption, and everybody follows the rule of law. That is what Malawi needs. That's what I've been told, and that's what we will deliver.